Boo! At the open, all-time high for the S&P 500.
It's your boy Jimmy. Jimmy.
Now what's worth doing is worth doing for money.
Straight from y'all street to Wall Street.
Anybody tells you money's the root of all evil, doesn't make up happen.
Dudes wake up, hope their girl turned on so they can get a little bit. Only woman in the morning, I wanna turn on this. Becky quick. While the average man looking at this sad life. She fine as it. I'm over here looking at tails and whips like, yeah, 5'6". I left the mayhem for the market. Now I don't want a dope spot, I want a stop pick. I know that booty got dropped, triggered my stop losses, but I ain't got time for your wop. My V-wops crossing. Rich with hot V's and pushing hot strategy and plans to make grand. Still in my wife beater, Batman pajamas, house slides, and about 5 hot picks for the day. Cause I like the way the Dow bounce. 4 hot dips on call, so I got options. 2 with a lot of volume, 1 with a double bottle. Now I know dumb money don't understand. Am I talking about my trade or just thinking with my MACD? You see, we different in the way we move. You move with kittens and your dog, I move with bears and bulls. I got a green thought, grow with the marijuana. Waking up with the fun, some commas. Jump out of bed, big profits. Eat my bacon and egg, make profits. Light up, watching them candles, profits. While I'm still in my sand, making profits. They used to watch me move them packs and stop. Now I watch moves in the NASDAQ profits. Used to run from the ATF and them cops. Now I run down ETL, make profits. I jump out of bed, make profits. Eat my bacon and egg, make profits. Light up, watching them candles, profits. While I'm still in my sand, making profits. Yeah. See, me and Jim Cramer been talking mad money. Said today I'm taking a risk. They got the feds coming, but I got support here with me. I call a short squeeze. You get the drop, she pull the trigger, and abort these. If she stay on my watch list, I might have to wife her. But I know better. I'm a true trading group lifer. Call up the Wolf of Weed Street. It's time to flip some profits. Go ahead, be hawking. Get your spot here. I'll double top that in the head and shoulders. Hit them up with this resistance. Watch them roll over. Cause I see John Wicks in contract. If I say I make $1 million a day, well, that's a large cap. You moving average, that's why you get crossed. Get split, get delisted, knocked off. and I'm setting the whole block off. I'm buying GameStop and selling them roadblocks off. Jump out of bed, make profits. Eat my bacon and egg, make profits. Light up, watching them hand, make profits. While I'm still in my same making profits. They used to watch me move them packets. Now I watch moves in the NASDAQ. Used to run from the ATF and them cops. Now I run down ETF. Hey, my family. Hey, go, what we doing, my man? Hey, make profits. Hey, Suge, Mike, what we doing, dog? Hey, make profits. Yo, Wolf, Professor, what we doing? Hey, make profits. That TTG money gang, hey, we some snipers.
Hey, yo, what's up, everyone? What's going on, folks? Welcome to the True Trading Group live stream. Hope everybody had a wonderful day and are ready to get down to business. My name is Michael Edward Parinati. I go by Michael Edward. I'm the co-founder and head trader of True Trading Group. In case you guys did not know, we actually received the Benzinga FinTech Award last year for Best AI Analysis Tool, but it's not just about awards here. We are the fastest growing and highest rated premium online education platform that combines university level trading and investing courses with premium stock market tools, live workshops, individual coaching and mentorship for stocks, options, crypto, and futures. We day trade, we swing trade. We also cover long-term investing. There is literally something for everybody here at True Trading Group. Now, if you guys are wondering why I should listen to anything it is that I discuss on this YouTube channel, I'm glad you asked. It's not because I believe I'm the world's greatest trader. It's because I simply began my trading career working on Wall Street. First job right out of college, T3 Alpha Fund, where they had me go through a training program before I was able to touch $1 of the fund's money. And then 2008 happened, and that was the Great Recession, the big stock market crash. But it's also the same year that I received one of the firm's Trader of the Year awards. Now you fast forward, I'm the co-founder and head trader of True Trading Group. Along with my team of 8 other professional full-time trading mods and over 30-person staff, we've helped thousands of members from all over the world reach their goals. We have over 10,000 members from 114 different countries, truly a global community here at True Trading Group. So if you guys are ready to learn, trade, and profit for real, you've come to the right place. 6 nights a week, Sunday through Friday, we go live right here on this channel with myself, other mods, and special guests. We'll drop golden nuggets, get free lessons, education, trade ideas to help you guys all become better traders. So smash that like button, show us some love. Let's talk about what we had happen in the markets today, guys. We got a lot of news flow from yesterday. We got a lot of news yesterday. And that had markets moving to the upside today. And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out if the markets are going to be moving back to the upside, or is this just a little bit of a bear market rally? And these bear market rallies, they happen a lot. They are usually pretty aggressive to the upside. And I think that where we find ourselves right now is a situation where not a whole lot has changed, yet the market's moved significantly higher on the back of just words, not necessarily actions or catalysts that are fact yet. It's just the perception of, and I don't know if those moves in the market are really sustainable. I honestly don't. The only way that I think that the markets are going to have a sustainable move back to the upside, where I don't think that rally should get sold, is if there's real there's clarity around all of the uncertainty that the markets are currently trying to deal with. The markets are trying to deal with the uncertainty of tariffs and trade and everything else. They're trying to figure out whether or not the economy is going to hold together long enough for the tariff situation and the trade situation to be settled. And it's a question that nobody really has the answer to. And it's something that I get asked a lot on whether or not I think the bottom is in. And I really think it's kind of foolish to try to play that game. I think it's kind of foolish to try to play the game of guessing whether or not a technical bottom is in, when there's so many other fundamental catalysts and variables that we don't necessarily know the answer, that we don't necessarily know the answers to, and we won't know for quite a while. I believe that April 7th low, it could be the low if you avoid a recession and the tariff situation goes away soon. But if the tariff situation and trade uncertainty doesn't go away soon, and the probability of recession goes up and will continue to go up as time goes on, and this uncertainty is still here. And then if you have a recession, there's just absolutely no way. There's just absolutely no way that we should get the break. There's absolutely no way that if you have a recession that you're not going to break that low. I mean, that is definitely not the low if that is the case. So I think of this April 7th low could be the low if there's not a recession. And I'm not going to come on here. I'm not going to try to make like this futuristic or psychic call of, yeah, the bottom is in, or no, the bottom's not in, because it's not like, it's like, that would be like if I asked you, hey, May 2nd, 2029, what's the weather going to be like? Like, there's just absolutely no way for you to be able to answer that question. You're just going to take a guess. And maybe you're going to be right. Maybe you're going to be wrong, but you got to take a guess. I feel like that's what, when people ask me like, hey, Mike, is the bottom in? Is the bottom in? I'm not really making that call based on any type of like analysis. It's a guess. Because I mean, I'm in the camp that if the uncertainty goes away soon, we can avoid a recession. If the uncertainty stays here for a while, then it's pretty hard for us to not have a recession. I think the odds are like 50-50. I don't know how this whole trade situation is going to pan out. I really don't. So if we don't have a recession, I think April 7th is the low. If we do have a recession, then obviously it is not the low. And the markets, I think if we actually break 480, and I mean like really break 480. I mean, I don't mean like just pierce it by $1 and then bounce back up. I mean really break it, like drop to like 465 or so. Then I would say, yeah, that's the market telling you that we're having a recession, and you're probably already in one. And the markets are going to price the recession now, because markets are not priced for a recession right now, not even close. And that possibility is still lingering out there. So now I don't necessarily really care, whether or not we do have a recession. That might sound kind of crazy, but honestly, guys, as a trader, it doesn't necessarily really matter. As a trader, the market's open, whether there's a recession or there's not a recession. Stocks go up, stocks go down. We can make money either way. And that's why I really love, what we do for a living, because it's one of the most recession resilient, professions or recession proof jobs that you can possibly have, or business that you can be in, because no matter if the economy is doing well or not, your place of work is still open, and you just got to be able to make money when in the recession. You got to be able to make money when stocks go down. You can't just only make money when stocks go up. You got to be able to buy puts. You got to be able to short. You got to be able to do those inverse ETFs. You got to be able to do all these different things that, we'll teach you as a member of True Trading Group. Again, we have over 10,000 members from 114 different countries. They don't have more time than you. They're not luckier than you or anything like that. I mean, these are people that literally were you once on a YouTube channel. They learned more in an hour and a half with me on a live stream, and they learned probably in the last year trying to figure this stuff out on their own. And now that's helped them, move forward, and it's helped them be able to get to a point in their trading where they're actually making money. They're making money on a regular and consistent basis. We had a lot of members over these last couple of weeks as volatility has just blown up. I mean, volatility is just through the roof. I mean, you're getting 2.5%, 3.5% moves in the S&P almost on a daily basis, which is insane. We've had a lot of members that really have had some of the best trades they've ever had. They've had some of their biggest days. They've had their biggest weeks. They've had their biggest months in the midst of all of this volatility. And that's what volatility does for traders. It creates opportunities to make a lot of money in a very short period of time, because the moves that stocks make are so incredible. And they make a month's worth of a move in 2 days. And that's what allows us, when you're on the right side of that direction, it allows you to make a whole month's profit in 2 days. That's the beauty of the time that we find ourselves in now. And I'm not just saying this. I'm not just making this stuff up on my own. Members of True Trading Group will tell you themselves that they're making money in this environment. You don't believe me? You guys can just go ahead and type the number 1. Members of TTG, type the number 1. If you are making money, becoming better traders because of TTG, type the number 1. Oh, there's Blondie. I see Blondie, who actually just had a milestone today. I think, Blondie, if I wasn't mistaken, today was your biggest day ever, or biggest trade ever. I forgot what it was, but I think Blondie had a milestone. But again, guys, type the number 1 if you guys are making money and you're becoming better traders because of TTG. Just go ahead right now, type the number 1 inside of chat. That's if you guys are members and you guys are making money, becoming better traders because of TTG. Just go ahead there and type the number 1. Beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent. Well, there you guys have it right there. All of you that are not members, you guys can see all the people that are typing number 1 inside chat right now. These are your friends, your family members, your peers. They're your coworkers. If they can do this, then so can you. There's absolutely no reason why these people are able to make money in the markets and you are not. So let's talk about some of the things that we did today on top of the news that we got from yesterday. And the news that we had from yesterday, guys, we were actually on this live stream yesterday, and when a lot of this news came out, we got some earnings that we'll hit on too. We got some earnings from Chipotle, you got some earnings from IBM, and I'll hit on all those earnings with you guys. 2 of those stocks are down. 1 stock is up from the big 3 big stocks reported earnings: Texas Instruments, IBM, and Chipotle. 2 are down, 1's up. We'll talk about those as well. But when we were on our live stream yesterday, way to go, Frank. 5 days straight green, thanks to all the education and insights I'm getting from Mike and TTG. Love to hear that. Music to my ears, Frank. Let's make it another 5 more, baby. Let's go. We'll make it another 5 more. That's what I'm talking about, Frank. Hell yeah. Congrats. Congrats. All right, folks. So back to kind of what I was talking about. So yesterday we were on this live stream and some news came out, breaking news right while we were live. And the news had everything to do with China and Trump and trade and tariffs. And essentially Donald Trump said that he was not considering firing Jerome Powell. The market's like that. He also said that tariffs will not be 145% on China. He said they'll be substantially lower, but they won't be 0. And he also said he's not going to play hardball with China when a reporter asked. So those were some comments that really sent the markets to the upside as everybody was getting excited about the fact that maybe we'll have a trade deal sooner than later. If Trump is willing to play nice or not play hardball, whatever. And if China, is willing to come to the table as well, and maybe we can get a deal done, right? And the markets rallied on the back of that. Then there were comments made from the Wall Street Journal today that said that the White House is considering lowering the China tariffs to around 40 to 50% or 40 to 60% from the 145. And the markets rallied on the back of that. I'll actually go to the SPY and I'll just show you guys that. The markets rallied on the back of that. Okay. Then Scott Bessent kind of poured some cold water on that. And I was like, these aren't going to be just unilateral, reduction in tariffs, that this would have to come with talks with China. And it would come with a move from China as well, that it would be bilateral. Both countries talk and they both say, okay, we're going to lower our tariffs so that we can, because right now there's essentially an embargo. Essentially, there's no trade going on between the 2 countries because, no one's going to pay 145% tariff on a product. So essentially all trade has kind of come to a halt. So if they lower the tariffs to where trade can still take place, that would be, a sign of progress, like a sign that they're a step in the right direction. So, so that's kind of when that came out, when Scott Bessent then said that, okay, you got the markets kind of weakened out and you got to turn around in sentiment. You got to turn around as the markets then started to pull themselves back in from what was a major resistance level. And it was the perfect timing for a piece of news like that to kind of throw cold water on that idea, because you were at a big level of resistance around 545. And you're like, well, where do I get that level of resistance from? I'll just zoom out on my chart and I'll just show you guys here. I'll go to a 15-minute chart just to make it easier on your eyes. Well, you guys can see this pretty clearly here, right? There's resistance, there's resistance, there's resistance, and there's resistance. So we got up into this level of resistance and we were there this morning. And then that's when the comments came out. All right. That's when Scott Bessent made those comments. He was actually at an IMF conference, and you just rolled right off of that resistance level. So you had technical resistance up there at 545. And then you had a little bit of a news catalyst, and that gave a beautiful pullback off of that resistance. The markets pretty much kind of just stayed weak for the rest of the afternoon and just kind of traded sideways. So we were able to hold the gains today. Okay. So we were able to, hold today's gap up, but, down significantly off of those highs. I think what the market is going to, and I think what the market's going to need, and this takes me back to, this area of resistance, that is your major level of resistance. Okay. You guys can see this right here. Okay. And I think in order for us to really get out of this and to really break out of this and do something like this, I think that the market's going to need real deals, not just comments. You're going to need something of substance. You're going to need, hey, we just signed a deal with the EU. The ink is still dry. You're going to need, hey, we just signed a deal with Canada and Mexico and Japan, and the ink is still wet. So I think that's what you need. I think that all of these other moves to the upside are bear market rallies. I think all of these other moves get sold into that are from like updates, like what we got from today, because all it is it's just words. It's back and forth. It's he said, she said. It's, Trump said one thing, then the Wall Street Journal reported something, then Reuters reported something against what the Wall Street Journal said. Then Scott Bessent came out and he made comments, and then Caroline Levitt will say something, and the markets are trying to figure out what the hell we should do with this information, when really the substance of this situation hasn't changed. There's all still the uncertainty of what's going to happen with these trade deals. You need the trade deals to actually happen to remove the uncertainty. And that's what is the overhang. That's the dark cloud on the market right now, is uncertainty. I keep saying, if you have to sum up 2025 in one word, it's the year of uncertainty. And if you do have a recession, it's most likely a recession that was caused by uncertainty, because it starts at the corporate level. Starts at the corporate level. Okay. The uncertainty from a business perspective, and CEOs will say like, hey, well, you know what, if we're unsure about, what the future looks like, we don't know about what the tariff situation is going to be. We don't know where we're going to need to source our materials from. We don't know how much those materials are going to cost us. So we can't factor and budget out our expenses. So they say, we're not going to make this investment and that investment. We're going to hold off on that. We're not going to hire these people and these people. We're going to hold off on that, and maybe we actually start reducing costs in case, because if we anticipate our costs are going to go up, then they need to reduce current expenses to offset the increase in costs they're going to experience, and they begin to lay people off. And all of that could happen. All of that could happen, and currently is already happening, just because they're unsure about what 1 to 2 quarters from now is going to be. So you can almost talk yourself into, or uncertainty yourself into, a recession. Now, it's very different when you have an internal factor that causes a recession versus an external factor. External factor would be like COVID, right? COVID in 2020 caused an external factor. You had obviously the financial crisis of 2008. That was an external factor. This is something that would be a sentiment-driven recession, where businesses are just unsure, and therefore and therefore don't invest or, reduce headcount ahead of time. So good news is, if that were to be the case, that those are typically shallow recessions. They're not usually the doomsday, 2008s or .com bubble type of situations. It's usually, those are usually more shallow. But I still think we can avoid it. I think we could avoid it if we get real progress and real substance on these trade deals quickly. Speaking of which, I told you guys yesterday on the live stream that I had actually, yesterday morning, I actually bought some shares of Nike for a swing trade, because I feel I'm doing this just because I believe that one of the first countries to maybe announce a trade agreement could be Vietnam. And if we do get a trade deal with Vietnam, you could see Nike do something that looks like this. And so I'm long Nike from 56.80. We took profits today on the big gap up. We gapped up right into a huge resistance level at 59. And again, where am I getting that resistance level from? I will just show you guys in the chart. I'll take you to a 15-minute chart to make it easy on your eyes. And there it is, right? We all see that. Everyone's in agreement. Resistance, resistance, resistance. So this morning, we have this big gap up. I bought the stock yesterday morning. Right here is where I bought the stock. And then bang, we had this huge gap up in the morning, and then we just ripped some profits off right at the open. Okay. So literally, we took profits off on this trade twice now. I took a piece of profit off yesterday here, and then took another piece of profit off right there, right off the opening bell. And I'm still long some, right? I'm still long some. My stop loss is going to be right down here on the remainder of my position. So there's the entry, first take, second take. And I'm going to hold on to this in case there is a trade agreement with Vietnam. And then if that's the case, I think that Nike is going to do this. Nike has a lot of manufacturing in Vietnam. It's their second largest place for production and manufacturing. Their number one, obviously, is China. But during 2018's trade war, if you guys were involved in the markets prior to COVID, in 2018, U.S. and China had a trade war. Okay, there were tariffs and trade war with U.S. and China. And because of that, Nike, as well as other companies, already started moving some of their production capacity into Vietnam and out of China. So Nike is actually has a pretty decent footprint in Vietnam. That's why the stock really got pulverized following the tariffs, because obviously China and Vietnam, very high tariffs, and that obviously crushes Nike. So if there is any type of relief from on the Vietnam side, you can see the stock break into the low 60s. And I think that we could be looking at a situation where I'm selling the stock somewhere up in this region. So again, it is a swing trade. I am going to sit on this for a little while. My thoughts were that, I saw some unusual buying activity in Nike and Lululemon into the close on the 21st on Monday, when the markets were substantially red. Nike and Lululemon, a lot of these other retailers that have production capacity in Vietnam, a lot of them are moving higher into the close on very heavy and unusual volumes. So I said, you know what? Maybe somebody knows something. Vietnam was one of the first countries to reach out to the United States and offer to say, hey, we'll lower our tariffs to zero, whatever it is. So I feel like that also would be a really strategic move on the United States part to put pressure on China, because if the United States gets a better trade agreement with Vietnam, all of those companies that currently have manufacturing in China, all of them will instantly move that to Vietnam. And that's the whole point. So that's why I think that if the United States could get a deal with Vietnam, it then really puts pressure on China to then come to a deal so they don't lose all of that manufacturing. So I think that, it would make sense if that's one of the first countries to give us a deal. And if it is, we could get a pop in Nike. So that's my thought process. We already took profits off twice. I'm in the driver's seat on the trade. My stop loss is down around 55.5. I'm long from 56.80. And my target's the low 60s. We'll see if we actually get there. All right. We'll see if we actually get there. And then we made some money today on MicroStrategy as well. I actually shorted MicroStrategy today against this resistance level, and I'll just show it to you. Here we are on the daily chart. You guys can see that resistance right there at the end of January and early February, and then there's resistance there here yet again today. I didn't mean to delete that line. Let's put that line back. So we saw that resistance level. And then you also had Bitcoin got into those mid 90s. And well, this is ARKB. I didn't pull up the actual price of Bitcoin. I'll pull up ARKB, but ARKB trades at a 1-1 on it. It's so 94.50 is 94.5 on Bitcoin. It's very, very similar. So we popped right into that. And I said, hey, listen, 94 is resistance, right? Used to be support. So when Bitcoin popped into that level today, I said, I don't think Bitcoin's going to be able to break 94. I think you might get a little bit of a pullback into the low 90s. And if that's the case, then MicroStrategy could give us a pretty decent setup against that resistance level. And that's exactly what happened, right? We had this, we gapped up, rejected off that resistance level. I went ahead and I took the trade short right there. And then we just kind of rolled it over, right? And I just kept taking profits on every rollover, right? So there was the entry. There was take profit, take profit, take profit. And my final take profit was actually right down here. I'm sorry, actually, I held on to a runner. Held on to a runner, actually. And when we popped their head above VWAP, my final take profit, I had like 10% of my position left, and I covered that right there. So I took a short, profit. And this is how we made our money today. It's how we made our money today. So it was taking profit from the swing trade on Nike, and then we had a day trade there on MicroStrategy, and it was a really nice day. It was a good day. It really was. There's opportunities all over the place, guys. So, congrats on those that are members and we're able to capitalize on all that action with us today. It's another solid green day for us. And I think that we should be watching, obviously, this resistance level in the SPY and just say to ourselves, let's wait and see what happens with news. That's it. You got to wait and see what happens with news. What about India? It's a good question, Money Heist. So India, Scott Bessent also did say today that they are very close to a deal with India. Getting a deal done with India also would be very good, and that would also put pressure on China because India and China have really been picking up, relations. A lot of and that kind of came with Russia as well. They've been kind of like increasing their relations, and really it was China and India that were buying all of the Russian oil after the sanctions were put on. And they, China and India were buying more than what basically voided out the sanctions as far as like revenue to the country, because they were able to then move that supply elsewhere. And countries like China and India were able to fill the void that was left there from the US and from the European Union. So that would be good too. But we actually have to get deals, right? We actually have to get deals. It's not just, we had a good conversation. We actually need deals in order for me to feel like any rally in this market is sustainable. Otherwise, I still think it's a sell the rip type of market. When we get stretched and we get oversold, we've been flipping long. Yesterday we were long. We caught some really great trades. Palantir was a huge trade for us long. That was a triple-digit gain on the call options and a really great trade on the equity. So yesterday was a big day for us thanks to Palantir. And then today also, today's also a really nice day thanks to MicroStrategy and Nike. But I think you got to just sell rips, guys. Sell rips when you get into resistance levels. Look to go short and continue to – because right now the trend is down. So, the trend is your friend. And right now the trend is clearly to the downside. In order for us to really break trend, you got to get up here. And once you get up here, you then need this level to become support. Okay, you would need this level. Let me delete this line. I'll give you a zone. You need this to establish support. So in order for this downtrend to change, you're going to need us to get up here, back down, right? Back down, and then hold it. You're going to need that in order to really break that downtrend. And until that price action happens, I think you're better off going short at resistance levels on a daily basis, with the exceptions of when the markets are like oversold into support, like you were on Monday, right? So on Monday, we were oversold into support. Support was at 510. Okay, we had a complete washout day on Monday. Then you gapped it up the following day, yesterday, and that was going to be the long for us, and that's why we were long yesterday. And I chose Palantir yesterday for the vehicle that I was using to make money from, and you guys can just see what Palantir did. Just a huge move. It's one of the stronger stocks out there. It really is one of the stronger stocks out there. You look at Palantir's chart and you don't feel like, you don't feel like we dropped into bear market territory on the indexes. It doesn't feel like it. But then you go ahead and you take a look at, I don't know, you take a look at Apple, you take a look at AMD, you take a look at NVIDIA, you take a look at Tesla, you take a look at Alphabet, Amazon. Then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, wow, those shorts don't look that great. You look at Palantir, you're like, oh, wow, that's actually not too bad. So those are my thoughts there. Let's go over some of these earnings. IBM, started off good and then just got the crap kicked out of it. So let's cover IBM's earnings. We'll give you guys what the numbers were. $1.60 earnings per share. That's a beat against $1.40 expected. Sales $14.54 billion. Analysts expecting 14.4. And they kept their guidance. Guidance was 16.4 to 16.75 billion. Analysts were only expecting 16.33. They continue to expect full year constant currency revenue growth of at least 5%. The earnings actually were good. The earnings actually were good. Revenue growth, once again, led by software, combined with our productivity initiatives, drove significant gross margin expansion and operating leverage in the quarter. Says James Kavanaugh, IBM CFO. Okay, what's bad about that? With our focus on the fundamentals of our business, we continue to maintain a strong liquidity position and yield solid free cash flow. This enables us to both invest in our business and return value to shareholders through dividends. What's wrong with that? And their revenue guidance for next quarter is above analyst expectations. What's wrong with that? So I feel like the stock's getting beaten up here unfairly. I think earnings were great. I just think it's resistance. I think again, people are selling resistance levels. They're not buying breaks through them. It's very obvious. There's this triple top here. That's all-time highs on IBM. Well, we got right to those all-time highs. Right? You got right into those all-time highs and then sold off. So I think it's more, I don't think it's more a fundamental thing. I just think it's technical and investors are selling rips, right? I think you got to see sell rallies into resistance levels. That's the type of environment that we find ourselves in. Then you have Chipotle. This is a bit of a choppy afternoon session. Initially, the stock dropped and is now climbing its way back to the upside. They did beat barely earnings per share at 29 cents versus 28 cents, but they missed on sales. 2.9 billion versus 2.95 billion was the expectation. So they did fall short on sales. Okay. They see low. So they see in 2025, they see comparable restaurant sales growth in the low single digit range. That's not great. Okay, so yeah. So Chipotle lowered their sales growth to the low single digits, and they cited concerns over a slowdown in consumer spending. And that's why you got a downward move there on Chipotle. It's still green on the day, but the stock's down significantly from when it closed prior to its earnings. And then you have Texas Instruments, kind of the one bright spot here. Stock's up 9.5% on the day. Nice move to the upside. And they did beat on top and bottom line pretty substantially. Earnings per share, $1.28. Analysts were only expecting $1.07. Sales came in at $4.07 billion, beating the street expectation of $3.91 billion. and they see next quarter EPS $1.21 to $1.47. Analysts expecting $1.23, and their guidance on sales is nice. Guidance on sales 4.17 to 4.53 billion. Analysts only expecting 4.13 billion. So top and bottom line beat. Also a beat on their guidance for sales next quarter, and that's got that stock up 9.5% on the day, and seems to be holding those gains pretty nicely. Okay, so those are your three big earnings announcements here today. Tomorrow is going to be a big one. You got Alphabet tomorrow. So we'll look to, and then also ServiceNow. I forgot ServiceNow had earnings as well. One of my software names that I like, I actually have just recently added ServiceNow to the long-term portfolio. This stock is up 17%. And the earnings here for ServiceNow, $4.04. That's a beat against $3.84 was the expectation. Sales 3.09 versus 3.08 billion was expected. The company says it's positioned as the platinum standard for enterprise-grade AI. They entered a strategic partnership with Aptiv, focused on driving intelligent automation and operational resilience across telco, automotive, enterprise, and industrial sectors. They announced a multi-year strategic partnership with Devo Team to accelerate CRM modernization for business across Europe and the Middle East. And Vodafone, also with ServiceNow, a 5-year strategic collaboration to launch next era of AI-powered service management. All of this happening after the close. So these are some really good numbers there from ServiceNow, some really good strategic partnerships being announced there for ServiceNow. That's got that stock up 17%. And I love this support level down here on ServiceNow. I'm going to go to a weekly chart just to show it to you guys. I love what I'm seeing here. Right there, this is where we added to the stock in our long-term portfolio against this support level that you guys can see. This is a weekly chart, and you dipped into it, and then bang, look at a nice little move off of that thanks to the earnings. So thank you very much, earnings, and a real nice move back up there to the upside on ServiceNow. Again, one of those stocks that we added in our long-term portfolio just recently. My last purchases in my long-term portfolio were April 7th. I probably, if you guys have been following my YouTube channel, then you already know that. I told you guys Sunday, April 6th, on my live stream here, I told everybody I was going to be buying in my long-term portfolio the next day, which was that Monday, which was April 7th. And that's what we did. And I'm happy with it. I really am. I still have cash on the sidelines, though, just in case we do have a recession. I want to make sure I still have some dry powder that I can add to at lower prices. Because if, again, there is a recession, then the bottom is definitely not in. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody have any questions for me while we are here? No questions? All right, excellent. So here, guys, what we can do, those of you that are not members of True Trading Group, I'm not sure how many of you there actually are on here right now. We've had a lot of people sign up actually to TTG over the last couple of days or last 2 weeks or so. We've had, 175 people or something like that have joined True Trading Group over the last, 2 weeks. I haven't really had a chance even to, we haven't even had a chance to change anything on the sign up page. So you guys still actually have, we just launched, we just went into production for our deep research function on our AI. So our AI tool, we now have a deep research function on it. And again, our AI tool received the Benzinga FinTech Award last year for best AI analysis tool in the industry. And we've continued to make further advancements. And there's my business partner and I actually on stage at the FinTech ceremony, receiving that award. But we've continued to make updates and advances to the tool and the platform. And we've recently added a deep research function that I'm not just saying it. I've used them all. Perplexity's deep research, Grok's deep research. Ours is better. Ours is better. From one trader to another, ours is better. And that's because ours is really fine-tuned specifically for finance and economics, stocks, trading, investing, and everything else, versus just like, not a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Like ours is a master of finance, economics, stocks, investing, options, futures, crypto, whatever it is. And that's why I think ours is better. But anyway, we were busy with that and getting that production out and pushed out on the AI platform for our members to use. So we didn't have a chance to change the membership. So we actually had a 90-day membership that we've been running for people that wanted to join. Our membership is normally a year long. Okay. Our membership's normally a year long, and it costs well over $1,000. But because of all the craziness that's been going on, a lot of people were freaking out and panicking. They don't know what to do. They're scared there's going to be a recession. I said, listen, we're going to find out in the next 90 days. We're going to have answers to all these questions. Okay. And that's why we started offering a 90-day membership. We'll leave it there just for this one more day because we didn't have a chance to change it before the live. So you guys can still join a 90-day membership for just $250 instead of paying over $1,000 for the whole year. You get yourself, basically consider it like you're buying an insurance policy for the next 90 days. Make sure you get your questions answered. You don't feel like you're alone. You know what myself, 8 other professional traders are doing, what 10,000 members of TTG are doing. So this way you guys can go through some of the craziest times of your investing careers and your trading careers, with help and real true professional guidance. And you guys can be able to make some money in this market and then have more capital to throw into the long-term portfolio when the dust settles. Go to ttgoffer.com. Everything on that page is included for 90 days for just $250. There is no automatic renewal after your 90 days. There's no automatic upgrade to a full annual membership after the 90 days. It just expires. And if you want to become an annual member, you need to physically process that transaction. Okay. We don't just do it for you automatically. It's just 90-day membership, $250. And if you do decide you want to become an annual member, we'll actually credit you the $250 that you've already paid. We'll knock that off the price of the annual membership, so you're not paying it twice. Okay. So ttgoffer.com, you get our 22-course curriculum, which is a simplified and expanded upon version of what I learned working at the fund in New York. You get Benzinga Pro's real-time news feed, TradingView's premium charting software, the Trade Ideas scanner streams on our platform for you guys to use. You get unusual options activity, options flow, dark pool data, short data, congressional trading data. All of this is included at no additional cost. $250 for 90 days. Simple as that. ttgoffer.com. You have any questions? Text us 1-888-621-2127. Again, that is 1-888-621-2127. Phone number is right down there at the bottom of your screen. That is 1-888-621-2127. Text us with questions. Today's going to be the last day, guys, for that 90-day membership. Then starting tomorrow, we'll change the checkout page and it'll just be the 1-year membership. It'll be well over $1,000. All right. That's it, gang. Thanks for tuning in tonight on the live. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Smash that like button. Show some love. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on your notifications. Don't miss out. I'll be live again tomorrow at 4 o'clock to cover Alphabet earnings tomorrow after the close. All right. I will be with you guys live tomorrow after the close to cover earnings. So make sure